Thank you, Mrs. Dunsel. Thank you, thank you. That was pretty cool, actually, to see the notifications. I don't think I have them on quite right yet for Streamlabs, but something worked there. Man, why is the... Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Dunsel. I appreciate that. And I think I saw that Emily just resubbed too, although for some reason the notification didn't pop up there. But thank you as well, Emily. And how is everybody doing? You found samosas? Where did you find samosas? Did you go back to that Indian place that we saw? Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, so hi, everybody. I am in, Emily and I were in the same place this weekend. We went to CanCon. Chris is at a sports bar watching the game. Yeah, last I heard, it was not a very high-scoring game, like 7-3 or something, KC or something like that, But yeah, Emily and I were at CanCon this weekend. It was a very good time, very nice time. Hey, Hillness. It was a very good time. And so I'm on my way back. Still have another 3 hours and 45 minutes, but I stopped in Utica. So beautiful Utica, New York. I'm right next to, I'm actually right near Utica University. But I had to stop here for nostalgia reasons as much as everything else, because I got this. I got me some Friendlies, which I used to, with my my dad and I, used to go to Friendlies when I was a kid. And most of the Friendlies around New York, a lot of the places have closed, although there's still some like individual ones that are still going along, like this one. So they're not completely out of it. So, and I stopped and I got myself a small sundae. So, and I'll have to at some point grab some food too. I thought about getting food at Friendlies too, but I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to, I felt like I could probably, I like their food. I liked their food when I was a kid, but I can probably do a little better than that. So, were they friendly? They were indeed friendly. Yes, they were friendly. And the inside of it looked exactly, like the ways that I remember. Because in the Northeast, in the particular place that I grew up in, Friendlies was like a kind of an institution. It started in Pennsylvania, but it like worked all the way up to the Northeast and a little bit to like middle Pennsylvania or something, and then down into like Maryland or some such. So yeah, so it was cool. And it's been an interesting experience, I'll tell you, driving down through the center of New York State. It is, I drove through this entirely Amish section of New York. So I passed by literally just yards, front yards of, there were at least 3 or 4 front yards worth of Amish children with the dresses and the boys wearing the hats and the suit jackets and the whole thing, playing out in the front yard, and, drove past a couple of horse-drawn carts and the whole bit. And then I went past 2 Mennonite churches, First Mennonite and Second Mennonite Church, and then past a couple of things where there was a sign on top of a mailbox that was, "The devil is a liar." And I was like, I'd always assumed as much, But anyway, it was a good experience. I was thinking about Amish teenagers are crazy. Well, yeah, they are allowed out, right? Alan, there's a certain point where they're allowed to, I forget what the age is, where they go off on this kind of like, they're allowed to do whatever. And then the theory is if they come back, then, they've learned what the true, righteous path is or whatever else. But no, well, and some of them do and some of them don't. But yeah, but it was an interesting experience. I had the thought running through my head of Paul Simon's. They've all come to look for America. I was remembering that song a little bit, watching things go. But, making okay time. Traffic has not been a problem, obviously, because I'm going all pretty much through the countryside. It's not all back roads exactly, but you don't really hit highways exactly going down this route, which is nicer than when I used to come up from New York, where a lot of it was highway. A lot of it was like 87 north, and then you get to 90 west, and then you're on that as well. So at least I don't have two yapping dogs with me. Do you have yapping what do you mean, Hilness? You have yapping dogs? Oh, your mom has two dogs that yap? Oh. No, I do not. I do not have any dogs at the moment. Although that will not be the case for incredibly longer in the semi-medium-ish, near sort-of-ish future. We were going to have a dog in the house at some point. Oh my God. And the whole time dogs were yapping? That sounds like a nightmare. That's where you need, Hilness, that's where you need that back seat. You need the back seat with the window. You need the limo or the taxi thing where you've got the silencing window that just goes over the back. Supposedly so you don't eavesdrop on a conversation you're not supposed to, but really so you don't hear yapping dogs. That's the real reason. No. Yeah, that would be rough. I do remember traveling up with my family in a Ford Fiesta, which is a small car to be clear. In a Ford Fiesta where in the back we had me. So I was a kid at the time. So you have my dad driving, got my mom in the passenger seat. You've got me in the back of this Fiesta, and then they've got the back packed to the gills because we were going somewhere for 4 or 5 days or whatever. And the Fiesta is a tiny car. And then we had my dog at the time, Trilby, our beagle, who was in a basket, like a basket bed, basically her basket bed with a pillow and the whole bit. And then, she's up top on these things, on some of the suitcases and stuff like that so that we could fit everything in. And, to be clear, probably not the safest thing I've ever heard of, not the wisest option, but it was a different time. This is late 70s, early 80s, and people didn't think about that nearly to the same degree. And she was fine, Trilby was fine, because she was not restricted or held back or anything. But if we'd gotten to an accident, she would not have been fine. But we went all the way up, and she did not yap. She's not a yappy dog. But we went all the way up to Vermont from where we lived in at the time. It would have been Jersey, I think, maybe Connecticut, I think Jersey. And we drove all the way up to someplace in Vermont, few hours in that setup. Oh God. Right. Well, that was what we were talking about, right, Emily? Was that it was, I guess, Nate Frechette who was saying listen, if you guys can't even figure out how to, if your government can't even fund your health, it's going to be hard for them to fund the arts. And I'm like, that is the case. We got another crash course lesson, chat, in why it is that Canada understands things much better than America does. And that was just another example. Yeah. So that's where you wave your honored guest badge, right? And you're just you wave your honored guest badge and you're like, let me show you how. Only honored guests are able to do it somehow. Yeah. I mean, listen, in a vacuum, I don't know how anyone was able to do it, including you. It's because I'm inexorable. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There's something about that word. That always gets the job done. Yeah, different definition of a small publisher. There's other definitions, you know. You could be a small publisher that only, hand draws booklets. Yeah, it's true, Ridnell, but having been in Canada over the weekend, a lot of what we were thinking was just like, yeah, how is it possible that anyone is able to do this? And I mean, the idea here is that we like that Canada does it. We would like other countries to do it. It's trying to lift everyone to Canada's level, There you go, 200 pages an hour. It's true. All you really need is a FedEx Kinko's, and you too can become a small publisher. Or if you're like Bilbo, you're another version of small publisher, right? If you're a halfling publisher. He's in the gray area of Gray Shade. And a bulldozer when necessary. Amen to that. Amen to that. I'm printing Gray Tint. So I have a question. I'm using right now Streamlabs instead of Twitch's mobile app. I'm using Streamlabs to begin with. How's the quality for everybody so far? Is it good? Okay, cool. Off-white tint. 50 tints of white. Yeah, cool. Well, that's why I'm it's good. I like doing a little bit of sort of field research, you might say. But yeah, this is like honest to God, and honest to God friendlies, which is I was like, I see it, and I was like, I probably should at least take an effort to stop by and for nostalgia reasons check it out. So, and I thought I would check in with everyone and see how everybody was doing. As I had said would be possible, I didn't know if I was going to be able to stream on Friday or Saturday, going up to the con and then being at the con, and it turned out that was the case. And I was not able to, although I did talk to our good friend Marie, who is one of the co-chairs of CanCon, and as of next year is the CanCon chair, and talked to her about the possibility of doing another live event from CanCon, like we did with Adventures in Middle Earth a couple years back. So that's still possible. That's something that we could actually do. And we'll see how that goes. But once I get back, then I am basically back now until February. Next con up on the list would be Farpoint, which is in Baltimore. And I was able to stream live from that con anyway, but I will definitely be here. Yes. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Arudinel, because we came up with, I was in Emily's coffee clutch today. And we came up with a new term for what Emily would refer to it as, like what it could be called. And there was a lot of, like, Brandon Crilly was talking about his being deeply concerned about the amount of glitter. Well, I came up with the idea of glitter clutch. So the idea was glitter clutch, coffee clutch, glitter clutch. So glitter clutch. Emily Marie already approved the change. Yeah, glitter clutch. And of course Emily had brought packets of basically edible glitter for people at the coffee clutch. I was just like, yeah. And it's funny, my wife is not a fan of glitter at all because it gets everywhere. So when you have a kid who gets like, birthday cards with glitter, like you spend the next, 6 months trying to get what's left of the glitter out of the house. So she's not wild about it. So it's funny whenever I'm just like, yeah, I have a couple of friends who are big on the glitter, She is very much not a fan. So, but again, it's just because of the cleanup. I mean, that's all. It's definitely because of the cleanup. But yeah, so I'm making my way back down, coming from the Great White North, and then when I get down all the way, I will probably have a chance to do a little bit of work this evening, and then tomorrow it's the beginning of midterm exam week for me at school. I'm about halfway through the semester. Yeah, you just give up and go with the glitter. That's fair. Yes. Glitter is happiness. Just the joy of leaving it there. As far as dinner's concerned, I actually still have to kind of stop and get dinner, sort of. I had a sort of a later lunch. I got this big sub at a place called Jackson's Subs, not like maybe 5 minutes on the U.S. side after I crossed in from Canada into the U.S. And it was this random place that was just like, I thought it was closed. And then I was like, wait a minute, it looks like, and sure enough, there was like people inside and, all that. But it was pretty good sub, pretty good bread. Vegan thali. Now, is this the leftover from what you got yesterday? This is the other place, or is this the other place that you got the samosas from? Spaghetti with a sausage meat sauce does sound delicious, Hilmas. I would expect. Thali plus a side of samosas, and I'll eat the rest tomorrow for lunch. Okay. Yes, yesterday, last night, we went to grab some dinner before coming back for the release party for Brandon Crilly from Bag of Giving, Brandon Crilly's Catalyst. Which was really nice. And it was good to see Ed Greenwood was there, by the way. Ed Greenwood actually bought a copy of Grey Shade, which is very interesting, actually, that Ed bought a copy of Grey Shade, the new Grey Shade, after his company had originally published the original Grey Shade. It was something, but, because he was being honored along with Julie Cherneda, who did a blurb for Grey Shade, and who is a very nice person, Julie Cherneda, and a very good writer, and Hayden Trenholm. And they were being inducted they had been inducted into the Canadian Hall of Fame. And so there was first the release party for Brandon, and then there was the sort of celebration of CanCon guests that were also inductees that year, which was nice. And Ed, as per usual, was very generous and spent most of his time talking about all the other young people in the room and all the other people in the room getting started, and how it was going to be, soon everyone could be in the Hall of Fame and producing good work for everybody, which was really, really nice. So that was cool. Yeah, it was cool to see Ed. It was cool to see Ed do that. And also, Ed's wife passed away a couple of years ago, I guess a year and a half ago or so. And so, after a fairly long illness. So it was good to see him. I had not actually spoken to Ed, for a while. So it was good to see him. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So before that party, Emily and I went to this, vegan place. And so I have learned, chat, that all vegan places, because it is one vegan place, I have learned that all vegan places are extremely slow and often half panicked in getting you your food. I had this one experience, and as we know, one experience can officially essentially summarize all the experiences you will ever have with that kind of food. So I now know that. It was so funny because Emily and I were just sort of joking about that idea that just, no one ever says that about anything else. Yeah, my American is showing. No one ever says that about anything else, by the way, right? Like literally nobody ever says that. If you get like a burger, right, and it's a bad burger, no one's ever going like, hamburgers are garbage. They say that particular burger sucked, like that particular. But man, you go like a vegan or a vegetarian meal. If one of those is bad, everyone's just like, vegan food, these vegans. It's just very, very hypocritical. But no, but it was nice. And I got some decent Indian food. I've had better, but it was not bad. And then then I was able to hang out. Very nice people at CanCon. There always are. And it was good to see all of them. I didn't save this story for after you edited the book. I'm just going to get it back with a bunch of like red X's through every chapter. It's just going to be like, no, denied, no. You can keep the title. Renegade's fine. The rest of the book sucks. No, X. You go for the British Indian menu. I like Indian food a lot. Yeah, Grey Shade is vegan in book 2. It's amazing how long it takes a carnivore to die. Yeah, that's not so much. But it was good to see Emily and Chris. Right. Exactly, Renault, yeah. It was good to see Emily and Chris. It was good to see Marie and Derek and Brandon. I saw Jagtress up there, so that was good to see her. I saw let's see, I mentioned that I saw Ed. I did not see Amal, although Amal was supposedly there on Saturday. But she must have been there for like her panel and then left because I did not see her at all. But I heard she was there for an hour or two. So that was unfortunate. I was sorry I didn't see her. But who else did I see? Besides authors and folks, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that you folks would know. Brahms often comes to that one, but he couldn't make it this time. So Brahms wasn't there. And Shadow lives way west, and Kilgore lives way no, he also lives west now. So yeah. But we did see some. It was good to see some folks there. And as I mentioned, Ed, Julie, Rob Sawyer, pretty well-known Canadian author, also a Canadian Hall of Fame inductee, was also there. So we had him. And yeah, so Nathan Frechette, but he's not been on the channel though. I know him from other things. So so is it official? Is that official, Emily? That they were like, yeah, we'll do this. That's super cool if that's true. I didn't know if that was official or not yet. And can I, is that the case? That's official? Because they'd already ordered paperbacks. Oh, awesome. Yes. So Baka Phoenix Books. So Grey Shade can be bought in Baka Phoenix Books, which is in Toronto. And I want to do more of that. I was talking with Chris and Emily about that. I want to do more of the independent bookstore thing, of trying to find independent bookstores that can do this, because there were some good Barnes & Noble. There are some not as good Barnes & Noble. And individually, Barnes & Noble will sometimes carry books. In fact, I had an arrangement that I was going to be doing a reading at a Barnes & Noble near Pittsburgh during my Three Rivers Comic-Con stuff. But it was all happening in 2019 pre-pandemic. 2020 happened. Three Rivers Comic-Con was canceled. Then it came back, but it was only sort of partial, and it was outdoors, and Barnes & Noble had like closed. It was a mess. So anyway, there's some good and some bad. And hopefully I can get some on an individual level. But some of these independent bookstores, though, that's a whole different matter. And I'd love to be able to get them in there. There's Mysterious Galaxy, which is out in San Francisco, I think, in California and things like that. But those independent bookstores are going to be an important part of what happens going down the line. So that's a good distinction, I think, Arudno. You wish you had a bookstore in town that wasn't a Christian bookstore. Tell them, just go into One Hillness and tell it it's got clear themes. There's sacrifice in my book, and there's aspects of redemption, you know, very godly themes. You'll only get to do that once, and then they'll never let you in again. But man, what a great moment that'll be, though. Good times, good times. Yeah, exactly. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. With a swirl of his cloak, Hillness was gone. Yeah, but I'm excited about that. I'm really glad that they have it. And I hope that more of that happens. I hope that we get more books like that. I assume that Catalyst is being carried by Baka Phoenix also in paperback now. I think that's great. Like, the more of that stuff that we can get, the better. I should actually try to see. I did a reading some years ago for The Third Sign, a number of years ago now, at University Bookstore, and the guy who was running it was a guy named Wayne, who had done stuff for years and years and years. He's actually really well known. He was the guy who first found out, or first figured out, that Robin Hobb and Megan Lindholm were the same person. He was the one who first figured that out, and just because of like knowledge. Very interesting guy, and knows everybody in the community. I don't know if he's still doing that though. I don't know if he's still out there doing stuff with University Bookstore, but I did a reading at University Bookstore of The Third Sign. It went well. It was good. A lot of family members and stuff. So I'd like to be able to do something like that, and sort of reach out to them. But it's hard because I only know a couple of those bookstores directly. And like one of them is Baka Phoenix through this connection. And then there's the Strand in New York, but the Strand is an indie that acts like it's not, almost like, well, we're not we carry real books, as if like independent bookstores don't carry them. So I'm not 100% sure about how independent, in quotes, the Strand really is. But yeah, independent bookstores, things like that are going to be a definite way to help as we move the book forward. And then, obviously Renegade next year should help with the long tail of that book, I hope. Heretic the year after that. And then the tabletop role-playing game also should help move things in Trends Audio. So all of that I hope will do things too. Yeah, just because it's one of those things where if enough people notice them in enough of those stores, that can start to make a difference, especially if they reorder them, right? Because like ordering them once and being like, okay, we have this book, and then they sell out and they don't know. But if they feel like they want to keep it in print or keep it in stock, basically, then that's something which can definitely have value in terms of the long-term impact of the books. And the other thing is too that like, the bookstore, so any press that's reputable has books available so that they can be bought by a bookstore. But the key is not you can order it from the catalog, because every bookstore could order everything, from the catalog. That's like the basic level. The issue is whether people actually know a little bit about the book and are willing to move it, willing to sell it. And I've talked to Mike Underwood quite a bit about this because of Mike's experience in independent book selling. So there's that too. Oh, that's a really nice, I understand that she doesn't do social media, but that's a really nice blurb. When you get the chance, Renell, please thank your aunt for me. Because that's That's really nice of her to say. I appreciate that. Even if she doesn't do social media, please tell her that I appreciate the thought. Oh, she's that one. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. No, I know, Emily. I know. I understand it's not as easy as just give them the books. Like I get that there is a risk. I know. Hopefully though, if we're working with independent bookstores like that they're likely not to try to do that, to smaller presses. Like some bookstores wouldn't give it a second thought, but hopefully bookstores know what's at stake a little bit. I would hope so. Anyway, that's really cool, Rudinell. That's really cool. She's the ones I gave your CDs to for Christmas. Yeah, I remember that one that you talked about. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's funny too, because it is this sense of, it is obviously a critique of dogmatic religion, but it's not a critique of religion per se. It's not an argument. I'm not an atheist. It's not an argument for atheism. It's an argument, I think, it's an argument for understanding and logic and not binary assumptions about black or white or yes or no or up or down or right or wrong. There is an ethic. It is about ethics to a degree. And there are things that are clearly more right than others in terms of modes of behavior. But it's not the idea. I've always been suspicious of this idea that either you do it this way or it means everything is that way. And Karen himself, one of the characters in the book, says that because one God is false doesn't mean all of them are. And that to take that another way, one belief does not mean that all beliefs are false. And so I try to provide a kind of middle ground, a middle way, which is where I feel comfortable in terms of my own spiritual search, so to speak. So, right. Blind obedience is the risk, Hilness, yes. Blind obedience that is sort of taken away from compassion. And by the way, the nurse practitioner thing, see, that's really interesting to me, Runel, because of course that is someone who needs to have a certain faith in what she does, right? And a belief in what she cares about. And so in a way, it's interesting that that's the kind of connection. Yeah. See, there are conservatives that remain that are in that ballpark. And I'm on board with those. It's the sort of the death cult members who, and I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole in politics here, but those are the ones that I have problems with, not the people who have sort of, that I can have principled disagreements with, but who basically at core, have, want to do the right thing. And, nurse practitioners are very, very important. Yeah. The silent majority, right. A lot of Americans too, just in American politics, a lot of the problem is not even so much that Americans are awful, this, that, or the other. It's that they have their heads down all the time and, doing whatever, living their lives, doing their work. And it takes a lot to get them to be like, huh? And look around. But it's not a lack of, it's not because they're foolish or because of, it's not that necessarily. Again, leaving aside the true believer, types that's a whole different matter. But anyway, yeah, so it's a book that's kind of in some ways opposed to dogma and opposed to kind of radical belief. And I actually play with that idea a little bit in Renegade, actually, in terms of some of the people that Grayshade runs into. Thank you, Jay, for the resub. Thank you, Jay. I'm glad the notification is sort of working. I still don't have everything quite the way I want to in terms of the layout on the mobile setup here with Streamlabs, but thank you, Jay. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. 48 months, so 4 years. 4 years of support. Thank you. 4 years. Enjoy that 4-year quill, the 4-year membership quill, so to speak. But but it was nice to have a discussion of literature and a discussion of speculative fiction. We had a good panel yesterday, I think, on quiet fantasy that I moderated, and some very interesting commentary from all the panelists. Emily was one of them. And some thoughtful questions from the audience as well. It's a good group of people. It's a warm community, and it was fairly small. This is the first time they've done this in a year or two because because of COVID and everything. And they had a virtual component, but they're starting to expand it again. And Marie's super smart and knows, oh, not at all, Jay. No, not at all, man. It's good to see you. But it's, Marie is starting to re-expand it again. So it was nice. You know, I think in the end, I believe their peak was like 450, something like that, 450, 475. So this year they capped at 250, but they had some people who had to drop out because of illness that was connected to the COVID policy. So I think they ended up with like, I don't remember exactly, but with everybody together, probably 215, 220, something like that. You know, but the point is they're starting to ramp back up again. And, so, but it was nice to be up there again. It was nice to make the drive. That hotel is familiar to me. I've been there, you know, a few times. They've had CanCon there at least, I want to say 4 times or something. And this is probably my 4th CanCon. I get a little confused about it because I started going to CanCon. I usually went to one conference in Canada, but for years I went to Ad Astra, which is in Toronto. And then Ad Astra changed their schedule from like March, April. Oh, thank you, J-Reb. It's working off of my phone. But it went from March, April to like July, which was not convenient at all because it was right on top of where ReaderCon in Boston is. So I ended up not going, and then they kind of moved around a little bit. And Ad Astra's always been a little bit disorganized, I find. But anyway, so then I found CanCon. And I don't remember if it was Marie that invited me or how I got connected with it. And then I just started in a number of people, as I said, that I know either live in the Ottawa area or directly connected with CanCon. So I know Brandon and Derek and Marie and Jagtris and Brahms and Amal and a lot of Ottawa folks. So, so I started doing that one, and, it's about a 7.5 hour drive, although I have to take a couple breaks to get, you know, food and drink and ice cream, which I've now had it, etc. You got all the way to buy his PS5. Yeah. I mean, you know, for me, Hillness, I certainly can't afford to buy a second one, but like, I don't even know, even from the point of view, even if you were just going to be completely mercenary about it and just sell it, I'm not sure at this point that you're going to get way over asking value anymore anyway. You know, even if you were inclined to do that, which I don't think you would be, but even if you were that, I don't even think it's going to be that much extra now. It's clear to me that finally the supply issues for PlayStations have been resolved. I'm very glad I got it though. I'm very glad I got it. Like, given, you know, already playing Yuffie's, I've really enjoyed that. And the new, I'm really pumped up about playing Ghost of Tsushima. And there are going to be other games down the line that I'm going to want to play on the PS5. So it was a good purchase. The PS4 was a good console too. And I got a lot of use out of it. I still think that the winner so far of the console wars for me over the last 5 years has been the Switch, just because I played so much good stuff on the Switch. But I am glad that I got the PS5. You would have found someone who needed one and gifted it. Oh, well, that's also incredibly, I should have expected. That's very kind of you as always, Hillness. So I would have expected that generosity, but nah, I think you're good, man. You know, like I think you've proven, you've done your bit for king and country, as they say. I did get to see Jagtris. Yes. Emily also met Jagtris, who had this very cool mask on, critical role oriented mask. And yeah, we got to see Jagtris. Jagtris normally is part of the staff, but wasn't doing that this time, but is going to go back to doing it next time. But yeah, it was cool. Right. Well, Switch is starting to yeah, exactly. Switch is starting to reach the end of it. Although, I don't know, though. I have to say, Illness, having said that, Metroid Dread was just absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Like, it ran very smoothly on Switch. So they did something about, they really did a good job of optimizing it. I really hope that Tears of the Kingdom, it does look pretty good. I really hope that Tears of the Kingdom, though, is more focused than Breath of the Wild felt like. Is that really true? It has a CPU from 2010 to 2012? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, right? Nintendo's always very good at optimizing their software, so it takes a long time for people to notice that, like, the hardware is creaking a little bit, Nice, Emily, that's awesome. It's an NVIDIA Tegra, wow. They just do a very good job at optimizing. But, you know, there's the Switch OLED. That's the one I think Echo's going to get. And, you know, there are going to be other ones that they'll do, but that down the line. I think Switch has probably got another couple years in it before Nintendo moves to a whole new console. So, but I'm hoping for the best. I hope that it's good. Now I basically have no limitations though. I mean, I can play now anything basically on PC. I can play anything vis-a-vis the Switch. I can play stuff on the Wii U, although again, I'm trying to move away from that console just because it's gotten, speaking of clunky. I can play anything on PS5. I've got my Intellivision, obviously. So the only thing I don't have, the only console I don't have is an Xbox. I have an Xbox 360, but it's not hooked up, and I mean, there's no reason to use that now. But I mean, I have a PC, which is an Xbox, basically. So yeah. Wii U is unfortunate. Right. And it could be that they do something like that. It could be that they do something iterative. Actually, if they do a good trade-in deal, like a legit trade-in deal, they work with like GameStop or whatever, and they take back a good amount of money, they could probably get some goodwill out of the Switch, because the Switch is a good console. Like, they did a very good job, and they embraced indies a lot more than the other consoles did. So, although I found out, by the way, I got my ActRaiser cartridge in from eBay the same day that I started doing Yuffie's Mission, because originally I was going to do ActRaiser and then Yuffie's Mission. And then I said, oh, it's not here. I'll just reverse it. I'll do Yuffie's, then I'll do ActRaiser, and then I'll do Ghost of Tsushima. It's a good thing I did that, because the cartridge that I got did not work. Not even recognize, the Retron didn't recognize it at all. So I returned it, and the guy did the return, and early next week I'm supposed to get the refund, because it's all guaranteed by eBay. And I ordered another one, which had got there while I was up in Canada. So when I get back today, I will test it to make sure that that one works. So I wouldn't have been able to play ActRaiser anyway. But now that I have this, once we're done with Yuffie's Mission, then I'll be able to play ActRaiser. That'll be a nice little palate cleanser. And then we will dive into Ghost of Tsushima, which is going to be a game that we focus on for a while, because it's there's a fair bit to it, I think. I'm glad we're doing Ghost of Tsushima, because I'm getting that like Assassin's Creed itch, you know, and I'm thinking that I may, after that, like I saw the trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage, and it was giving me serious Ezio vibes, so I was like, you know, and I like the Assassin's Creed games. I just kind of signed off after AC4. I got bored with Black Flag about halfway through, and I never played Unity, and I never played Syndicate, and from what I understand, I didn't miss anything. But I've heard good things about Origins and Odyssey, and Mirage looks good. So that's what I'm hoping for, is that it returns back to its roots, and if so, you know, sign me up. And that's something which I could do on PS5. I might do a fair bit on PS5, because only because, like, if there's a PC only title, that's great. But honestly, because I have a gaming PC that I do most of my capturing, through the gaming PC. Like, I have one or two games that once in a while I will still just use my streaming PC to capture, because the CPU requirements are so limited. And for tabletop, obviously, I use just my streaming PC. But for anything that involves any kind of like semi-modernish video game, I basically capture my gaming PC. Well, if I'm going to do that, the gaming PC is exactly like a console, right? So whether I plug in my Retron, my Wii U, my PS5, the gaming PC, it's all the same deal. So at that point, I might as well use a PlayStation 5, because the PS5 I can actually optimize more. And that would be pretty cool to be able to, like, you know, like Jedi Fallen Order is a good example. When Jedi Fallen Order 2 comes out, very likely I would play that on the PS5, because I played the first one on PS4, which was way better than having to play it on the PC, because it wasn't really super well optimized for the PC. Now, in fairness, I have a really good graphics card on that PC, and like, it's not like it's bad to go the PC route. But if I can get an optimized thing on PS5, I might as well just go that route, you know? So could be, Jay. I could see a next Nintendo console in late 2023, but I don't know if it's going to be an evolution or a revolution, so to speak, you know, based on how Nintendo does stuff. Yeah, well, and I do want to try. I've heard really good things about Origins, Hillness, so I do want to give that a shot and see. I heard Valhalla got very like shaky reviews, and Odyssey some good, some bad. I should talk to Rob about that because Rob is big on that score. Yes, that's a good way to look at it, Jay. That's a good way to look at it because absolutely Prince of Persia, absolutely. Oh, and which I happen to like a lot. By the way, chat, I'm going to have to get going here in a little bit because I still have some hours to get home. But by the way, guess which of your favorite streamers just got tickets for the Philharmonic, the New York Philharmonic, I believe it's New York Philharmonic, to play the Fellowship of the Ring theme, basically the entire movie soundtrack while the movie is playing. Two thumbs, this guy. In February, I'm going to be seeing that. They did this a lot when the movie first came out, and I didn't get a chance to go see it in that form. I saw it like 4 times in the theaters and 6 billion times since then on DVD and the like. But I finally get to see that actually with an orchestra playing it. Now, Fellowship of the Ring is my favorite movie. 20 years ago, sorry, Hilton, not you. 20 years ago is when the movies came out, which is mind-blowing to me. But anyway, and yeah, I am very excited about that. And it's going to actually be, it's a weird day though. It's like on a Thursday. So I'm basically going to teach my class that day. And then I'm just going to drive in from work. And I'm going to go all the way just straight into Manhattan. Find parking and probably pay a fortune for it. Don't care. I will sit there and just have a big smile on my face the whole time because you all know how important Fellowship of the Ring is to me. And like that, having the chance to actually see it with an orchestra is just woof. It'll be great. So I'm very excited about that. That's happening in February. And I found out that I had those tickets. So I am excited. So it'll be good. So, all right, folks. Well, Ragnarok comes out in 4 weeks. Yeah. And I'll have to see. I mean, I also have more God of War to play. I'm going to have to look and see if I can transfer. I transferred the save game. So maybe I can still do like an upgrade thing and get God of War for PS5 or like remaster or whatever. We'll see. Right. Yeah. See, I heard that too. So maybe like Origins and Odyssey. It's too bad because I like Viking stuff, but like it sounds like Origins and Odyssey are more along the lines of what one would want to do and maybe not so much with Valhalla. So anyway, we'll see. That'll be down the line, but Mirage does look very cool to me. So we will see. And that'll be what this like Ghost of Tsushima will be a good trial run for that stuff. Anyway, folks, all right, I just wanted to check in. I felt sorry that I wasn't able to stream for folks, and I missed you all. But I had a really good time at CanCon this weekend, and it was a success. And I think we made some good connections, and it was great to be with that community. And it was great to see Emily and all the Emily, of course. And it was great to see the other folks up in Canada that I don't usually get to see. So it was cool. So I was glad about that. But I wanted to say hello and also test out Streamlabs and see how it was working. But it seems like it worked okay. So just a reminder, this week, Tuesday, we have got, on Tuesday afternoon, I'll be live with more of that Euphy's mission, and we'll be doing the final vote for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month, so don't miss that. And then we'll be playing a new game over on GOG.com's Twitch channel, which I'm excited for you folks to see. It's called Road Warden. It's like a text-heavy, choice-driven game. You know the drill, stuff that I like to do, but I've never done it on GOG before. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I hear you, Rudna. I kind of feel the same way. It doesn't quite fit to me. But anyway, so that's going to be happening over on GOG.com's Twitch channel, so that will be very cool. And then we will be off Wednesday. Thursday is going to be a return to Negocios Infernales, the Infernal Salons, this one to support Deadlands. So you'll definitely want to stop by for that. That's going to be happening Thursday night. And then I believe Friday we have got... Friday is either Castlevania... I don't remember exactly what's happening on Friday. I think it may be Castlevania, but I might be wrong. But Saturday then is Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And we're going to have Eberron making its return. And don't forget, we're also on Saturday, I believe this Saturday, we're going to have Adventures from Middle-earth, but it's going to be an early session, a 3 to 5 p.m., roughly speaking. We're going to try to finish the Dragon arc, basically the Sleeping Dragon's Lie arc for Adventures of Middle-earth. And then we're going to revisit and see where we're at schedule-wise, because I don't know that all 4 players are going to be able to be compatible with each other's schedules. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it at the end of the year, the beginning of next year. But like, that's something to think about that. So we'll consider, we'll consider how to kind of make that happen. One way or the other, we obviously are sponsored by Free League for the new role-playing Lord of the Rings role-playing game that's going to be coming out. So one way or the other, we're going to be continuing Lord of the Rings stuff, fear not. But the players may have to shift slightly, we'll see. But in any case, the next few months will be as normal, but it'll be on a Saturday instead of a Tuesday. So, and otherwise, hope to get some gamebook illustration streams in as well. We'll have Castlevania, we'll have the Halloween October 31st show and all that kind of stuff. So you know how to support the stream, follow all the things, check out the YouTube, do all that stuff. Thank you so much for the subs and resubs today. And I will catch you folks on Tuesday back at Casa del Arv. But thanks all for joining me. Love y'all. It's good to see you. I'm always happy to be able to hang out with you folks too. So everyone be good, spread the word, and I will catch all of you lovely folks on the flip side on Tuesday. Until then, everyone, as I always say, be good to each other, and bye for now.